I am happy to be speaking to you today at the New Growth Summit 2021. My name is Steve Hoffman, but in Silicon Valley, they call me Captain Hoff because I am the captain and chairman of Founderspace, one of the world's leading startup incubators and accelerators. I am also the author of 3 award-winning books: Make Elephants Fly, which is all about the process of radical innovation; Through the Winter, which teaches entrepreneurs everything they need to know to grow their businesses and come out on top; and my new book, The 5 Forces That Change Everything, which goes into detail on new technologies that are emerging and how these technologies will shape business, our society, and our lives. I am going to describe to you 3 science fiction scenarios that are going to become reality in our future. The first one I want to talk about is the metaverse. The metaverse has been popular for years, but recently, since Facebook changed its name to Meta, it has become extremely popular. Everyone's talking about this. Now, why did Facebook do this? Well, Facebook clearly sees that its future lies in the metaverse. It wants to make sure that as the metaverse evolves, it isn't left out. It isn't left behind. So it is placing a big bet, hiring 10,000 engineers to begin working on developing applications for this thing we call the metaverse. Now, what is the metaverse? Well, the metaverse is something that isn't new. We have seen the metaverse take many shapes over the years. There was the Second Life application, if you recall, years ago, where people entered into this virtual world and began creating things, buildings, costumes, interacting with each other, whole scenarios and cities. And the economy of Second Life at one point was bigger than most countries. Now, Second Life is still around, but it's much smaller. People moved on. What we're finding is that there isn't a single metaverse. In fact, there are many, many metaverses out there, many different applications that are totally immersive. Virtual reality applications, augmented reality applications, mixed reality applications, alternative reality applications. The list goes on. And what we are seeing is that people gravitate towards these, often for a period of time, and then they move on to the next one. But the infrastructure is being laid right now for a grander metaverse, a metaverse that is more akin to the science fiction story Ready Player One. This is a metaverse that we will interact with as groups of people on a large scale that will get mass adoption. Now, what will this metaverse look like, and how will it impact businesses and our lives? Well, first of all, the metaverse itself is going to be powered by certain technologies, and these will influence how it develops. The first technology we've already seen. Facebook acquired Oculus Rift, the largest maker at the time of virtual reality headsets. But there are many other companies out there doing this, making these headsets. We've also seen that Apple is about to launch an augmented reality glasses. Google launched Google Glass, which didn't do too well. And many of these are all experiments in the metaverse. We're creating the metaverse through our experiments, through these different trials, these different applications that we're launching. Some succeed for a period of time and go away. Others fail right away, but some of them are sticking. And where we're seeing the greatest activity right now is on the blockchain. Because on the blockchain, they're actually using the blockchain to create a metaverse around virtual goods. And then there's a new name for these. They've been called virtual goods for years. But when they're on the blockchain, they're called NFTs, non-fungible tokens. And so there are entire communities springing up on the blockchain now that are literally virtual worlds. You can get in there, walk around with your avatar. You can look at art on the wall. You can buy the art. You can interact with other people. You can buy real estate. And people are spending huge amounts of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars buying up land in these metaverses to build virtual houses. What does it mean? What is the value of these? Well, like all things, the value will change over time. At some period of time, like right now where it's really popular, the value is soaring for these virtual goods. At other times, we'll see the value plummet, especially if the underlying community no longer engages. So the dynamics of these metaverses are really tied to a single thing. That is community. Community is what drives the value. For example, if it's a virtual world and all the members of the community are very active and there's a lot of members and the membership is growing and they're investing a lot of their time and energy and identity into this virtual world, then that virtual world will continue to grow. And the value of the virtual goods that are being created there, whether they're NFTs or just objects, virtual digital objects that people are buying and selling or trading or getting for free, these objects, their value will become more precious to people. But as soon as that underlying community disengages, they no longer are investing their time, then the value of all the objects created in that community will begin to decline with that. So that dynamic is going to play itself out over and over and over again. And there are going to be lots of startups launching these different metaverse applications. There'll be big companies like Facebook launching them. But really, we don't know who's going to succeed, who will make the next big breakthrough. The one thing we do know is that breakthrough is coming. And that breakthrough will fundamentally transform how we interact online. Because our experience interacting online will become much more immersive, much deeper. We will be connecting with people and spending greater and greater periods of time. Now, one thing you have to understand about the metaverse, to truly understand it, is that it's very different from how we interact now with applications on our phone. When we interact on our phone, we are using applications that we can get into and out of very quickly. We jump into WeChat or Facebook, we send a message, we answer a message, and we're out. Usually a minute or two, a lot of times only 30 seconds. However, in the metaverse, because it's so immersive, because it's a 3D world, it takes more time to get into it, more time to navigate it, and more time to do interactions in it. So it's a long form engagement process, not a short form. So there will be a different type of behavior in the metaverse than there is when we interact on our phones. That is what we're going to be seeing. However, augmented reality bridges this gap. It basically brings the metaverse and layers it on top of the real world. So we could be interacting in the real world, jump into the metaverse, or really never leave the metaverse, because wherever we go, whether we go into a building, whether we're engaging with friends, there is digital content layered on top of this, and we are interacting with that digital content. This will fundamentally change the way we work in our offices. Like when we want information, we will literally be pulling it out of the air and placing it in front of us in the real world. Our personas, who we are. We might have the clothes we wear, but we may also have digital outfits that we project to everybody else who is using these augmented reality glasses or contact lenses. They would see us differently. So we will have many identities and many interactions. And although you and I may be standing in the same room, we may be in entirely different worlds, interacting with people who neither of us see in the real world because they're only there in our metaverse view. And my metaverse view could be different from yours. So it's going to be a totally new way. We'll need to readjust how we interact in social situations. Just like today, we've adjusted to people being on their phone all the time. Even when they're right in front of you, they're on their phone. They're just tapping away to somebody. In the future, people won't be on their phone. They'll be there with you, but they'll also be in other places interacting with other people at the same time. This will take time to get used to, and it will change the way we do business, how we interact with people in business, how we interact with people at home, on the street, when we're shopping, everywhere. It will have profound effects. The second science fiction scenario that will come true in the future is that we will connect our brains directly to the internet. Now, this seems like science fiction, but I'm telling you, it's actually working right now in the lab. They actually have put chips in the brains of monkeys so that they can control, just by thinking, robotic arms and feed themselves. They actually, just by thinking with a chip in their brain, can drive an electric wheelchair. And it's not just monkeys. At Brown University, they have actually put these chips in human beings, people that are completely paralyzed. And with this chip in their brain, they could not only feed themselves with a robotic arm, drive around in a wheelchair, but they could also send messages from one person to another. It is amazing. And they went beyond this. They've actually gone beyond this. At Duke University, they have actually put 2 chips in 2 different rats' brains, put them in separate cities, and connected them through the internet. Now, when they taught one rat how to access food, basically when they see a light, they press a button and they get a reward. The other rat instantly knew how to do this, instantly, because its brain was connected to the first rat. Now imagine when we get our brains connected to the internet. What will that mean? It will mean potentially that we can instantly transfer thoughts and knowledge from one living brain to another living brain. If they can do this with rats and monkeys, we can do it with humans. Now the question is, what sort of technology will we need to make this happen? Well, a lot of the technology is already here. So some of it, they have very crude devices called EEG devices. And you don't need to drill a hole in your head and put in a chip. You literally put on a cap, and using this device, you can buy them right now on Amazon. You can do simple things like read your brain waves, meditate, control a drone, turn lights on and off, simple things. However, that is just the beginning. If you actually take the step of putting a chip in your brain, a direct connection to the neurons in your brain, then you start to get a high bandwidth connection. And I know for a fact there are many large companies working on this right now, experimenting with this. And they're also experimenting with more non-invasive ways that don't require any surgery. And these include infrared light that they can shoot into your brain, sound waves, all sorts of different ways of mapping your brain. It's still in the experimental stage, but companies like Facebook have publicly announced that they want to develop a brain-computer interface so that when you're on Facebook, you don't have to send messages by tapping away. You can just think, and those messages will go to a person. And it's just a matter of time before we make that breakthrough and this product goes mass market. Now, when it goes mass market, what is the impact on businesses and our lives? Well, the impact will be profound. Just imagine that you can access, without going to a computer or anything, just by thinking, any of the information in the internet, any of the publicly available information. You can start to download. You can also access the processing power of these amazing processing. And you may have your own personal AI that is adapted to your brain that works with you. So you would be working in conjunction with an AI to do processing. Like human brains are not very good at processing complex statistics and analyzing data. We just aren't equipped to do that. However, with an AI as our in-brain assistant, boom, we can all of a sudden, all of us can start to be more like Einstein, make these major breakthroughs, solve these complex problems just by thinking and imagining them. And then there's communication from person to person, not just transferring thoughts, but potentially even emotions and feelings. Potentially, we could feel one another's happiness or sadness. That is a breakthrough like we've never had before, like nobody's ever experienced. What would it be like, not just to feel sorry for somebody, to empathize, but to actually feel what they are feeling, whether they're joyful, whether they're depressed? You could actually trade and combine feelings from person to person. You could share your happiness literally with somebody. Memories, uploading memories. Already at Berkeley, UC Berkeley, they're using fMRI machines to capture images in the brain, live images, and store them. This technology is here. We just have to take it to the next level. So it's going to radically transform business because literally we could be doing business brain to brain. We could be doing business as groups of people interacting together all of our processing powers combined of all our brains. And think about it. If you go into the office and everybody else has these advanced brain-computer interfaces and they are so much smarter and so much more capable because of them, you will have to adopt one yourself just to compete. And if you say, I would never do this, I'd never give anybody access to my brain. Think about the smartphone. A lot of people said, I don't need a smartphone. Never going to do that. I don't know anybody who doesn't have a smartphone. I don't know anybody who doesn't use it every day. This is the natural evolution of technology. It is coming. Only we as a society need to be very careful about how we use this technology and how we allow companies to use it, to access our brain, to access our data. We need to put in the controls now so that it is used for the benefit of all people, not just a few individuals. And we do not use this technology to manipulate people. These are the issues we're going to be facing. Companies will be facing them. All of us will be facing them as this technology rapidly changes our lives. The third scientific scenario that is going to become a reality in the future is that artificial intelligence will be playing a greater and greater role in our decision making. In fact, AI will be making decisions autonomously without us. In many cases, AI will actually be running entire companies. AI will be running parts of the government, will be managing our infrastructure, will be trading, managing markets and trading stocks, and people will be taken out of the loop. Or else they will be in the loop, but they will be passively in the loop. They will be there to approve something, but in almost every case, they will be just saying yes. Now, why is this? Why is this happening? And what is happening? Well, we're already seeing that AI is having an oversized impact on nearly every industry on the planet. It's changing every business out there because everything could be made smarter using data, the right data, and the right algorithms. But what we're going to see moving forward is that all of us in our jobs will become reliant more and more on AI. Why? Because AI is so powerful. It can do so much to help us. Think about it. If there's a complex decision you have to make, like forecasting, you're going to go to AI. Have the AI forecast it. It can process the data better than any person, even a data scientist, can do it. AI can do that. If you want to make decisions, let's say, like terminating an employee. You have an employee and you want to know if you should fire them or if they can be trained. You may go to your AI and ask your AI, should I let this employee go? And your AI would analyze the employee's performance, everything, and it would say, no, this employee is a good fit. You need to do X, Y, and Z to help them improve. And the AI would assist in that. Or the AI would say, no, this employee is in the wrong job. We should move them to another position where they can perform better. Their skills match with this other position, not the one they're in. Or the AI might say, this person should be promoted. They're performing great. And in certain cases, the AI will say, we have to fire that employee. They are not up to par. And this is because AI will be measuring everything we do, every part of our lives. And we will be using AI on the job. It will be assisting us for not just how to manage our employees, whether to hire them, whether to fire them, all of those things, but even in our personal lives. Like we may say, oh, I've been at this company several years. Is there a better job out there for me? Is there a job where I could move up the ladder faster, where I would be happier, where I could contribute more? You may ask your AI because it knows you. It's been working with you. It may go out there, and instead of you spending hours and hours searching for the right job, the AI might go through that massive amount of data out there in a day and come back to you and say, there are 3 positions that would actually be better for you than the job you're currently at. Would you like me to go and negotiate for you? And then you'd say, of course, negotiate for me. And the AI would negotiate your job. If it's a good fit, boom, you would be in your new job. And AI is going to go far beyond this because AI will literally be managing all these different processes. So right now we have very focused, narrow AI that does one thing particularly well. Well, this is going to broaden, and we're going to have not just one AI, but lots of different algorithms combined together to solve complex problems. For example, employee management. How do you manage employees? How do you instruct them? How do you get the best out of them? How do you train them? There'll be different AIs focused on all these different things. And us as human beings, we will start to delegate many of the decisions we make at work. Like if we have a tough decision at work, should we do this deal with this company? We may consult an AI, which has a lot more data. And when that AI tells us, we'll probably say, okay, if you think that's the right choice, I'll make that decision. In our personal life too. If we want to find somebody, let's say we want to go on a date and find somebody that we hope to marry. Well, an AI with deep access to people's data and who they are might do a much better job than we do and take far less time to make the right match. All of these life decisions and all of the infrastructure and things we use every day, from driving a car with autonomous cars to going out there and finding a movie to watch. What video would we like right now? AI will be so good at that in the future that we will invite it into our lives. And the question we have to ask for business is, can this power of AI, can it be abused, right? If a business has this much data on you, if an AI literally begins to know us, who we are better than ourselves, what power does it have over us? Because Facebook did a study. They actually had their AI and they had the AI analyze people. And then it went to people who use Facebook and it asked them, would you click on this ad? Would you watch this video? Would you read this article? They asked the same question. The people would answer, yeah, I would watch that video. No, I wouldn't read that article. They would answer those questions. Then they asked the same question to the AI. Do you know what happened? The AI answered those questions, and in almost every case, the AI was right. And in many of the cases, the people themselves were wrong, which meant that AI actually, by analyzing the data deeply, what people actually did, not what they thought they would do. They might say, oh, I'll watch that documentary on climate change. Absolutely. But what they were actually watching was that kitty video, that cute kitty video. The AI knew this. And so the AI could predict our behavior better than we can. That's a fact, and that's a fact we'll have to live with. The AI will understand the world and even who we are and the people around us much better than we do. And that will be so compelling that we will start to hand these decisions off to AI in hopes of getting better results. And that is the business opportunity out there, huge opportunity for business, but it is also something as a society we need to consider. And what does that mean for people in the world as we delegate more and more of our autonomy to our machines, to our smart machines, because they are simply so good at getting the results we want. How can companies prepare for a future where everything is changing? And what I just covered, the 3 science fiction scenarios, those are just the tip of the iceberg. I go far deeper in the book, The 5 Forces, about the changes coming and the new technologies coming. There are so many more out there, and all of them are developing very fast. And we will see breakthrough after breakthrough. Even breakthroughs that we can't even imagine today are coming. And this is because we're all more connected than ever before. We collaborate at a faster speed. We have brains, billions of brains around the world, working together in conjunction, sharing information. So what we're going to see in the future is more and more technological breakthroughs that are going to totally disrupt the business landscape and our lives and everything we do, how we act. A company can only prepare for this by being in a constant state of change itself. If a company is satisfied with where it is, if it is trying to repeat the same business model, the same way of doing things over and over, then ultimately it is going to be displaced. Somebody else is going to take its business away and it will be pushed off to the side. If you as a business owner are going to succeed, you need to embrace change. You need to say that change is part of doing business today. And you need to adopt these technologies and understand these technologies as early as possible so that you can see what's coming, so that you have visibility into the future and can start making changes and adjusting your strategy. Now, I tell CEOs that I work with all the time, basically, you can't do this. As a CEO, you're too busy. You can't know all these technologies. I don't even know them all. And I spend my life immersed in this world. You can't think about all the possibilities. What you need to do are hire the right people and give them the freedom. You need to hire people in different areas with different specialties who are natural explorers, people who suck in new ideas, who try the latest software, try the latest gadgets, who are always out there doing stuff. And you need to empower them with the freedom to actually go out and start experimenting in your business with these technologies, to bring these technologies into your business and try different things. Play with them. See if they can improve things. See how they would fundamentally change your business. Keep tracks of all the other things going on. These people don't have to be high level. In fact, the higher level managers are usually too busy and too focused on the bottom line to do this. Get people from the bottom up, young people who really love these technologies. Bring them on board and say, hey, I want you to spend time doing this. Your job is basically as an explorer. I want you going out there, bringing this technology, showing it to everybody, trying to figure out how it fits in our business and how it can impact our business moving forward. I want to conclude by talking about what inspired me to write the 5 Forces. So for me, writing the 5 Forces was a passion project. It was something I felt deeply about. First of all, I'm a curious person. I literally read a new book every week. I'm talking to amazing people around the world, Nobel Prize winners, top scientists, top researchers, technologists, CEOs, and everybody has a different point of view. And I wanted to get a handle on how this technology is going to transform the business landscape moving forward and our lives. And as a society, most importantly, what do we need to be talking about? What are the issues, the ethical and moral issues that we need to be discussing about how this technology is used? Because this new technology that's coming, that we are giving birth to right now, is exponentially more powerful than the technology that preceded it. It is like if you compared gunpowder to nuclear fission, like the power of a nuclear bomb compared to the power of a traditional bomb. This new technology, whether it's gene editing, nanotechnology, brain-computer interfaces, is so powerful that we need to understand at a deep sociological level what impact it will have on our lives and society and whether that's the right direction for us to take. So I believe all technology is just a tool. And these technologies that's coming now has the power to literally make our lives so much better, to create abundance, to allow us to interact with each other and have experiences we could never have had in the past. However, at the same time, this new technology in the wrong hands can be used to actually take people's freedom away. It can be used to actually manipulate people in ways that aren't beneficial to them. And so when regulating businesses, when thinking about how different people use technology in their lives, we need to be very careful and we need to have a forward-looking approach so that we encourage innovation, we encourage exploration, but at the same time, when we can identify problem areas that we can put in place rules so that people deploy this technology, especially when it's mass deployed, in a way that's responsibly. That was my motivation for writing the 5 Forces that change everything. So if you want to reach out to me for any reason, I love coming to China. I've been coming quite often before the pandemic, and I hope to be coming quite often in the future. You can reach out to me at founderspace.com. Just contact me there, and I would love to collaborate with you in the future.